What's up, y'all? We're back again with another episode of Mike and T Talks. I am T,
I'm Mike.
and as always, we have a plethora of topics for you guys today. So, we're going to start with one of my favorites and something that I can really relate to. The question is, do best friends or friends in general stay best friends after one of you gets in a relationship, or do things change? I would like to take lead on this one.
Be my guest.
So, I guess from jump, as for some background, I was never allowed to have a boyfriend in high school. And if I did like a boy and we were communicating, it was kind of on like the low down, sorry, mama. But
Mm-hmm.
so when I got to college and I was just like, basically giving free reign with boys and doing whatever it is that I pretty much wanted to do, it was time for me to kind of, make some decisions about my dating life and everything. And I will say the first guy that I ever got involved with took up a lot of my time. And I could tell because I had friends, it was like a group of us that had came from high school and had, ended up going to the same college. And when I got involved with this dude, my friends would send text messages like, tell him he can bring you back now. Or if I was going somewhere with him after we had went out eating at Waffle House or IHOP, they're like, you can't hang out with the gang and all of that stuff. And in the moment, friendship, in all honesty, didn't seem as important as this relationship that I was focusing on trying to make work so bad,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was a very toxic situation. And they weren't the only friends that I lost because of it. I lost quite a few to that particular situationship. And so I went through the, reinventing phase where I tried to find myself again before I met you. Then me and you got together,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like they just started dropping one by one. And I had to go back and look at myself and be like, am I the problem? But by then, I had learned how to balance a relationship and a friendship. And you can speak to this. I was still going out.
Yeah, you were.
I was still going to parties. I was doing probates. I was hitting the town. Like, I was still doing me
Yeah.
with my friends, but I was also spending time with you, dating you, being respectful when, I went out and
Yeah.
everything. I guess you could speak to that. How did you feel about my balancing act?
Oh, you did a good job. I mean, I knew you were gone, but it wasn't just like, all right, we're trying to be in a relationship, but she's never around. So
So you never felt disrespected or anything in our relationship. I do vaguely remember one time when you were sleeping and I told you I was getting ready to go out, go to a kickback, and I had on like a belly shirt, like a half shirt.
yeah,
And
yeah,
y'all, he looked at me and was like, "Where the rest of your shirt at?" And I was like, "This is my shirt. Like, this is it." And he was just like, "All right, now, you know, basically do right." Which he never had to tell me that because again,
right.
I had, I felt like I had, I ain't gonna say mastered, but I was trying to get to the point where I could still be in a serious relationship and go out with my friends and have fun. But it seemed like the more serious we became,
Yeah,
and I'm talking serious as in like we got engaged and then we moved in together, my friends just started dropping off. And it went from me wondering if I was the problem more so to wondering if it was the phase in my life that I was going through and like those people just couldn't follow.
yeah. I mean, it was a change in your life, so you know, can't bring can't bring everybody with you.
True.
That's just or everything.
And for the record, one of the main reasons why I don't feel like my friendships changed until we got super serious is because you were still really, really big on me time
Yeah,
when we first got together. So it would be a thing where, I would text you and be like, hey, what are you doing today? Do you want to hang out or whatever? And you would straight up tell me, and I always appreciated that you would just be like, hey, I need some me time today, but we can
Mm-hmm.
hang out later on. Like, I'll text you, and everything like that. So while you were doing whatever you were doing,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the same thing.
Right.
And I think it was different for us because most of your friends don't live here.
Right.
And most of my friends were here, but you never made me feel away for wanting to. Because again, it was never like one of those things where I'm like, I have plans with you, but I'm going to kick it with my friends. There was a time like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend actually got me in check on that one when you came to see me. But I was like chilling with everybody else, and you were like,
Yeah.
I could have did this at the house.
Mm-hmm. Brother had to get up early, man.
I mean, so I'll ask you, do you feel like because I know with relationships with dudes, y'all can tend to get in a relationship that's new
Mm-hmm.
and like that girl is all you see. Like you got your homies, but in the beginning stages, you got your girl. And then I've seen complete opposite where it's like you got your girl, but your homies come first. So can you speak to like the male perspective of
Well, I think as men, don't really trip about that, especially
mhm.
if you gonna be chilling with your girl. Because I never get mad at my friends for chilling with their woman.
Right.
Why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? It don't even make sense,
Do
really.
you feel like that's because you have your own woman or just because in general like men just don't trip like that?
Both. So I have my own, and then, but even if I didn't, I mean, you with your woman, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
I think I think it hit different for females versus males.
I think so because I think a female's bond, I don't want to say is like deeper than a male bond because I think that male best friends have their own type of
Yeah.
situation, but I think as females, with us being more emotional creatures,
Mm-hmm.
that it does hit different as far as like feeling like you've been dropped because your best friend has somebody new. That's basically like getting another best friend,
Yeah.
and your best friend being like, what the hell?
I think y'all bonds are so close, and some
Yeah.
y'all damn near feel like y'all need each other.
Yeah, in a way. I
Yeah.
mean, like, that's your sister,
Yeah.
that's your family, even though blood doesn't play a factor.
Right.
And I feel like with men, y'all don't overshare. We as females, we overshare. So, like, if you are best friend, you know everything about us. You know what we like, what we don't like. So, when it comes to that point of like having to basically share your friend with another person
Yeah.
and you haven't had to do that
Mm-hmm.
in a long time, it's foreign.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you be like, nah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then you have some friendships that will support you getting in another relationship. But I feel like those friendships come with females who also have like other friends who are single and doing their own thing. So
Right.
they'll hang out with you,
For a
when
little
they
bit.
can or
Yeah.
whatever. But then they got this other crew over here that is connected with their lifestyle in
Right.
the moment, which is being single and going out and having fun or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and not having to worry about respecting a relationship.
Correct.
And I do feel like boundaries and respecting a relationship plays a big factor in whether or not you're going to be able to keep a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, dudes do it too. Like they'll be like, be my wingman or whatever, but you're putting yourself in a compromising position
Yeah.
when you're going out with a single friend that's like, hey, distract so and so for me or whatever. I've been in that position too. I've been in that position where it's like, hey, I need you to run interference for me. And I'm like, bro, I can only do so much for you. Like, I can give this man conversation, but it stops there. So, like, if you don't do what it is that you need to do with
In a
this
timely
man's
manner.
friend, you out of luck. And then on top of that, don't put me in a position of, oh, well, he said he wants to go back and kick it, but so does his friend. So can you, like, no, that's overstepping boundaries for me, for my relationship that I'm choosing to be in.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's right for a friend to put you in that situation.
That's true.
So I feel like it's certain situations where you kind of learn whether or not that friendship is going to last because it's a supportive friendship from beginning to end, or if it was supportive in the beginning, but then when y'all got serious,
Mm-hmm.
it stopped being that support. I mean, when me and you got together, I mean, I'm saying I had friends that were like don't you think you're moving too fast? Or don't you think this is going too fast? And I just be like, y'all aren't me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
They don't know the dynamic of the situation.
right. And so I'm like, in my head, no, I think we're moving at a perfect state. Like when we were getting ready to get engaged, and, I was telling friends of mine, like, yeah, I'm ready to be engaged. I'm ready for him to pop the question. Like, I'm ready to change my last name. And people are like, you've only been dating him for so and so. But I'm like, I knew this person before now. He's just a grown man at this point. So I'm getting to know the grown man that he is.
Yeah.
But he's not different to me.
You got to think about, they're saying that you're moving too fast, but at the same time, I mean, you like, somebody say that they don't really know if they want to be with this person, and they end up dating for 5, upwards of 10,
Right.
10 years. Everybody ain't like that.
No, some people know what they want when they want
Right.
it. And I was one of those when it came to our relationship.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, devil's advocate, because, we have all different types of couple friends or whatever. So have you ever looked at your best friend's girlfriend and been like, bruh, she really is not right for you? Like, she's changing you in ways that are not good for you? Or do you really just not say anything? Because I feel like from the female perspective, we gonna voice it. Like, we gonna be
Oh,
like, listen, he not bringing out the good in you, sis. He bringing out the bad in you, and I just want to put you up on game.
uh, yeah, I kind of. That's a good question. I kind of just. I kind of
Hands
stay.
off.
I stay in my lane. I stay in my lane. I don't know, man. It's so different for female and male.
Exactly why I want your perspective on it. I mean, like, I get men being hands off because y'all don't really get into the sensitive portions of somebody's
I
relationship.
guess as a man, you feel like you can handle it. I feel like I don't need nobody.
Oh,
I feel like I don't need another
man's
another
perspective.
man's perspective. I mean, no, not saying I won't ask, but
But it's kind of like a I got me
yeah, I got me
situation.
situation. I feel like I can handle it. You know what I'm saying?
I can see
It might
that.
not be right then and there. I might have to take a step back and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it
From
from
a
all
different,
angles.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like
But
I can
I
handle
got
it.
me.
Yeah, I
I
feel like I
think
can handle
that,
it.
and I never would have known that as far as me and go. Cause I ask you questions all the time. I'm like, did you check on so and so? Like, have you talked to so and so?
Yeah.
Is everything good with them? And you're just like, babe, I don't.
I don't try to get in nobody's business because I don't want nobody in mine. So I just,
I feel that. So
yeah.
as a friend, if it doesn't work out, then are you there? Are
Oh,
you
I'll definitely be there.
are you on some I told you so type stuff because you could see it, or you just gonna keep your mouth closed and support that person?
Support. Can't really tell you I told you so when I didn't say that to begin with.
You right.
So
You're very right.
I'm just saying.
Okay, well, that's an interesting perspective to see from me, and I can understand that being like man of the household, and it's how you're raised to just be like, yo, I can handle it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a female, and she my female,
Right.
so I can handle that. I can see
Communicate.
that.
Yep.
All right, so I came across an article titled "What to Do When Your Best Friend Gets a Boyfriend and Totally Changes." Y'all know how this goes. I will link the article in the description, but we're going to go over the key points. So, I do want to note that one of the main things that this article starts with is basically to remember how it feels to be in a new relationship and kind of take that perspective and apply it to whatever your friend is going through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, understand they might be in the honeymoon phase the same way that you are when you're crazy about this guy from the very beginning. So you have to give grace. So it begins with meet him and make friends,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like that's the easiest thing to do if you're going to have two very important people in your life. Get them together, let them sort of bond over similarities. Not too much now, not too much. But I feel like it makes it so much more difficult when your best friend and the man that you're with, or the spouse or partner or whatever, do not get along.
Yeah. And
Because I don't, the friends that you have, I met their fiancés, wives, girlfriends, significant others, and bonded with them, but I'm also cool with them too,
right.
and vice versa. Because I can only imagine how awkward it would be to be like, yo, I want to go hang out with my friend and his girl, but he don't really care for you. You don't really care for him.
Yeah. That's super awkward.
So the next thing it says is to be wary of bad mouthing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
That's a
one.
huge one.
Because don't make me have to defend my man to you as my best friend,
Yep.
and vice versa. Don't make me have to defend my best friend to my man. I think as we got deeper into our relationship and the friendship that I was in, I had to do that. Like for both of y'all though, I mean on both ends, I had to defend her to you and I had to defend you to her, and it was really hard because I'm sitting in the middle. Like I understand where both of y'all are coming from, but I care about both of y'all,
Yeah.
and I really want to make this work in both ways. Like I don't want to lose my man, don't want to lose my friendship, but it's hard, you know.
Yeah.
The next thing says put your energy into something new and exciting. So I think that's where like the hobbies or, you know, making new friends comes in. If you're really feeling like you're missing that person's energy, take that energy and throw it into something else that's gonna, I don't know, enhance you in some way. Like if you have extra time on your hands, that's extra time to be learning how to make some money,
Yeah.
you
That's a good one.
know?
Yeah.
I feel like when you get wrapped up in always being with that person, and I mean, we said this, when you feel like you can't be alone or like that person has just been in your corner, been with you for so long,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to imagine what doing stuff without them feels like. But I feel like you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. So if you're in that situation, you know, life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Yep.
The next thing says plan time together. I cannot stress enough how much this will help both sides of that relationship for your partner and your best friend if you plan to it and you stick to it.
Yeah.
Like, don't plan it and then, you know, back out at the last minute or something like that. Like, plan to stick to it. I have friends to this day, I'm married with a child, but we still make plans that we follow through on. It might be months from now,
Yeah.
but we still gonna get together, and those are still my girls at the end of the day. The last thing says don't bottle up your feelings, and I feel like there's a thin line between that, because no, don't bottle up your feelings, say the way that you feel, but be respectful about it, because it's such a sensitive topic to begin with. Like, you're talking about a relationship that this person obviously really wants to be in.
Yeah.
So if you're insensitive, what do you think that's going to do for your friendship?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, because you're pushing the person away, right?
Pretty much.
So, to conclude that one, I feel like best friends can stay the same if both of y'all are on the same page, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if both of y'all are understanding and cooperative and communicate, then nothing has to change besides the fact that one of you is in a relationship and one of you isn't. But if there's any immaturity or miscommunication that's not handled from jump, it's going to be a real sticky situation.
Yep.
So, next, we're going to talk about how your current relationship has elevated you as a person. And I love this topic because I feel like between the two of us, we have elevated a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you some time to think on yours because I already have a few. Let me say that he has elevated me financially, and I mean that as far as like being credit conscious and everything. Y'all had no idea about credit before I got with him. I'm pretty sure I was like in the lower 500s. And this man took me, molded me, helped me understand what it means to have credit, why it's important to have credit. And then helped me on the path to get my credit score up to like a 700 because he knew eventually down the line I wanted to buy a house. He is the main reason why I was able to buy my first car with a car note without having a cosigner, because I was, taught and he worked with me. So I feel like elevating financially was one of like our biggest things. He also elevated me in my walk with Christ because before I got with him, I was not going to church regularly. I wasn't attempting to go to church regularly, nor was I trying to fully understand and obtain the word and analyze it the way that I do now. And I appreciate the way that he elevated me because he did not push. His main thing when we first got together was, hey, this is what I do on Sunday. You are more than welcome to come with me, but please don't feel like you have to. And there were multiple Sundays where we were together where he would go to church and I would meet up with him afterwards. And, we would hang out. And eventually I decided that that was a part of him that I wanted to be able to share. It goes along with being equally yoked in your relationship. So he helped me get back into my walk with Christ. There is still a lot of work that I have to do myself, but he helped me get on the path to, being more in tune with my religion. And I really appreciate that because as a kid, I went to church faithfully
Yeah.
every Sunday. Sunday school, Bible study, vacation Bible school, you
Yep.
name it, I was there. But of course, the older that you get and the more that you don't have anybody telling you that this is what you have to do and you're able to make those decisions, you make them for yourself. And I did stray away, as I'm sure a lot of people
Yeah.
do. And then I guess the third way that I would say you really elevated me was my communication style.
You too.
Not necessarily, because my communication style and your communication style is still different,
Yeah.
and the way that I elevated it, I'm sure, is very different. You elevated mine by making me face the issue head on and not walking away, because in the beginning of our relationship I'd be like, yeah, I'm done with this,
Yeah.
and I'm walking out, I'm gonna go cool off, I'm gonna take a drive or whatever, and then I'll come back and I'll discuss it with you. Whereas now I don't leave the house
Yeah.
when we have a disagreement. I might not talk about it right then and there. That's something that I'll probably never truly change, but I don't necessarily run away from it either. I also don't mess things up the way that I used to, because I very much used to, I don't want to say throw because that's like a really bad word, but yeah, I used to dishevel some stuff.
The
We'll use
show.
that word.
Moving from one place to the other.
Yeah, in a very aggressive
Aggressive way.
way.
Yeah.
And not my stuff, specifically
Mm.
his things. But for the record, I never cut up, bleach, threw away, burn. I've never done any of that. I've never broken anything
No.
either. I have just very aggressively rearranged some things. So in all, I feel like this relationship has elevated me to just overall become a better person. And you've made me soft. I always say that. I care a little bit more about other people's feelings and things because I think about the way that I would want to be treated. I'm very territorial too. I don't play about you.
Yeah. Same.
So, yeah, man, elevation is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah. And to piggyback on the communication part, yeah, she's definitely elevated me there. She how she does it, it just be random. She'll just come talk to me and just bring up a topic and we'll sit there and just talk and then she kind of just opened my mind up and see how I feel about different things. So the communication part is way better than what it used to be at the beginning because she just talks to me just because. And I like that. I really like that about her.
Hence how this podcast got
Yeah,
started.
because
I love your
I
conversation.
kind of, I don't know, I ain't gonna lie. I
He
wanted to
was
do the,
iffy, y'all.
I was iffy. I wanted to do it, then I kind of didn't know how it would turn out because I'm not really just just out there.
Right.
I ain't
He's
really.
not a talker like I'm a
Yeah, I
talker.
just be chilling. Y'all probably can tell anyway. But yeah, and she's also elevated me more being a better father. Um
Oh.
yeah, so
Tears.
yeah, so like I said, our baby girls almost two, you know, I always just ask her sometimes, if you notice things that I do or that I don't do that you feel like I need to do or do better, So, and I feel like I've come a long way in being a father. Granted, it's my first time, so it just
Oh, you're taking strides, baby.
yeah.
You in there like
I feel like I'm
swimming.
killing this thing. You know what I'm saying? And we got a long way to go. Got
Right.
forever to go.
Forever.
Yo, my baby girl, you too. Oh man, so
I that pulled on the heartstrings a little bit because when we first became parents, like I told you, the one thing that I didn't want to do was for you to feel like I was criticizing the way that you parent. And it's so important to me. Like, I always try to approach that in the best way possible when it's something that I ain't gonna say I necessarily feel like you need to work on, but something that I might not necessarily agree with. Because, our parenting styles aren't just like
yeah,
hand in hand. They're different because we grew up in different ways. But
yeah.
I try so hard to approach that to where you don't feel criticized, and you saying that makes me feel
And I did at first, but then I had to think about it. I'm like, she wouldn't sit here and purposely say something to
nah,
criticize me. It's our child. It's gonna
right,
be our child. It ain't our child
my
one day,
child,
yeah, and
right,
then it's not our child the next or whatever. So I just had to, I'm like, all right, Mike, you gotta sit here and listen to what she's actually saying and don't take it so to heart or
yeah.
whatever.
Cause I'm never gonna steer you wrong, and
Right.
the only reason why, like, the maternal instinct in me is like automatic.
Yeah.
Like, even if she's doing something I know she ain't got no business, like even when she get popped, there have been times where I've been like, well, man, you ain't hit the hit of that far. But that's just me as a mom. Like,
Yeah.
that's our baby. But I have a soft spot for her. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'll always have a soft spot for her, even when she's doing like the worst. Like, that's still gonna be my child. And so when I come to you and we have a discussion, that's why I always try to approach it in like a, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I noticed this. And I always ask you for an explanation. Like, did you do this because of this?
Mm-hmm.
And when you make me understand, if it makes sense to me, then I'm just like, okay, hands off. Like,
Well,
did what you did. You're her dad. That's what you said. And
mm-hmm.
then other times, I do feel like you really do take my perspective into account, and you're like, okay, you right. That's my bad.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do it that way, or I could try another way next time. So I appreciate that because you give me criticism too
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to our child. Because again, everything that I say is not word is bond,
Right.
and that's just that about Mari. Like, I can be wrong at times. There are things that I probably let her get away with that I shouldn't, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, it's how we work together. And I feel like every single day we figure out a way to keep this relationship going, and I'm so appreciative
Yeah.
of that.
Me too.
Because you don't find a lot of relationships all the time that elevate you. Sometimes you do find relationships that bring out the absolute worst in you and will take you down through there. And
Yeah.
have we been through some times?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. But do I feel like this relationship has helped me better myself? 100%.
Yeah. I got one more that's so simple, and it's just simple daily encouragement.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of that.
Yeah. Every day is no matter what it is. It could be something small, big, whatever. She always finds time to encourage me, no matter what. If I'm having a bad day, she know what to do. And by the time I make it home,
You
I'm
good.
straight. I'm straight. Cause man, I had some long days, some real long days.
And that's a big one for me because men's mental health.
Woo.
It's not talked about as much.
Nope.
it's not acknowledged as much, and you have these men who really want to end it all because the literal world is sitting on your
You just
shoulder.
feel like you gotta. You don't. I don't have to do it all, but sometimes you just feel like you have to, and you just gotta cross
And
your T's and dot your I's. You gotta
right,
make sure everything is in order, because sometimes I something could go and I'll miss something, and I feel so gutted because I'm in my mind. I'm like, how did I let this slip up?
but I'm literally here as backup.
Yeah. So
I'm here when it's the last thing on your mind because you're here when I'm stressing.
yeah,
So, I mean, men aren't taught to ask for help, and I feel like that's one of the things that I had to pull out of you so bad was like,
man.
yo, if you need help, tell me, and I'm gonna try to make it happen. And if I can't make it happen, then we can work together to make it happen. And I tell you all the time, I don't know if I tell you as much that I'm proud of you as a husband, as a father, and you always tell me that, like, you know, I do that. Like I
Yeah,
reassure you.
do it all the time.
And I mean, I'm gonna forever do that because, like, if you not good, then we not good.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, just them daily affirmations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those say a lot. Matter of fact, that one right over there.
Oh yeah.
I want to show the people. You don't have to read it, but um, it's something that I got him for. What did I get this for? Your birthday?
Yes,
Yeah, I
for my
got this for
birthday.
your birthday.
Yep.
And it's basically just a plaque, and it begins with basically like my man, and just affirms all the stuff that he does for me and for Mari and for this family. And he says that he looks at that, whenever it's been a day,
Yep.
and it kind of brings him back to center.
Yep. And it ain't gonna move. It's gonna be right here. Eat it.
So I have one last article, and it's titled "Little Ways to Elevate Your Relationship." So the first one says, "Do little thoughtful acts," and I feel like little acts go a long
Long way.
way
Yep.
with us, especially having Mari. And I mean, it could be something as simple as like me being like, "Man, I gotta go in here and clean her cups for tomorrow," and you being like, "I already did it." Or me being like, "Yo, I gotta put these towels in the dryer," and you being like, "Yeah, I already did that." Like, I feel like when you see me just worn down, those little thoughts, it means so much because it means that you're paying attention to me,
Mm-hmm.
and you understand that I need help without me telling you that I need help.
Right.
The next thing it says to do is to talk about the future. We do this
All
all
the
the time.
time. Man.
All the time. So much so that sometimes he has to be like, "Dang, I need you to live in the moment."
Yeah. That's not a bad thing.
No, not necessarily. I mean, because, I plan for the future. I plan for like 5, 10 years out. I tell you where I see our life and where I want to go, the things that I want to do, the places that I want to see. Like, for
Which
me, what?
which at the same time, yeah, it is a good thing because it's almost the same as talking about your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's one key thing in a relationship.
Yeah.
Is you always constantly talk about your goals. Like, so you talk about your goals for the next 5 years, and then once you get halfway through that 5 years, you talk about your goals for the next five.
Right.
Yep. Keep that going.
So yeah, I feel like that definitely elevates us because it gives us something to like
Look forward
look
to
forward to.
plan for.
Right.
Yeah.
The last thing it says to do is to give each other space. Space is a big thing in marriage and relationships. Like, people ask me all the time, and I think I've said this before, like, how is it that they're like, "Oh, you allow him to have a game room?" Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, sometimes I need my space, and sometimes you need your space. Sometimes you have to be alone with your own thoughts to come back to center
Mm-hmm.
and be with another person. So I feel like giving each other space, it shouldn't be a bad thing. It should be something that you're actually willing to do
Yeah.
in your relationship. You can't be like stuck up under each other
All the time.
24/7.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people love that. I think I would hate that.
Yeah, me too. I love you.
I love you too,
But
but
it's just, yeah.
sometimes, sometimes,
Yeah. Everybody needs some space.
yes. Moving on to our last topic for the night, we are asking the question, why is there so much stigma on doing things out of order? And when I say out of order, I mean, having kids before marriage, moving in before marriage, just all of those things. And I want to start with a quote that we had heard so much in our relationship, especially when we had decided that we were going to move in with each other. And it was, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? For the free.
That's a funny quote.
I just want to know why it seems like such a big deal. I guess it doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but let me just kind of lay out our situation
Mm-hmm.
real quick. So, we got together. We were living separately. He was in his apartment. I was in mine. We weren't engaged yet or anything like that. We were dating. And like I always tell people, he offered a lot of things in our relationship that I was not expecting, because I had never been in a serious enough relationship to want to move with somebody, marry somebody, or none of that. So when he first got into his apartment, I was there. I was helping him move in and everything. He just casually slid in. Yeah, if we're like this, if we're in a good space by the time your lease is up, maybe you should come live with me. And I'm just like, I think I was hesitant. I think I was just like,
Off guard. She was
yeah,
caught
I
off
was
guard.
kind of like, well, yeah, we'll see, where this is going or whatever. And, we'll circle back around to that. So fast forward to when my lease was up and the opportunity presented itself for me to move in with him. But actually, I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. He gave me a key to his place before I moved.
Right.
And that was only after a couple months. I don't think anybody had anything to say about that. Like, I was pretty much coming and going as I pleased anyway. He just got tired of leaving the key under a mat for me to just like swoop in when I
Yeah.
got ready. So eventually he made me my own copy. But so fast forward to my lease being up, there was some controversy about us moving in together on both sides. I approached my mom and asked her, just how she would feel. And she's like, well, that is not my first choice. And then, of course, the question got asked, did you ask him or did he ask you? And I was like, well, he asked me because if he hadn't asked me, for the record, I had a place to go. I was just going to go back home
Mhm.
with my mom or my dad at the time. So it didn't really matter if he had decided that, he no longer wanted to move in. It was fine. I wasn't going to be homeless. So she basically said, it's not my first choice, but you are an adult. You're going to do what you want to do anyway.
Right.
All she asked is that I basically like look out for myself. So like if things, didn't go right or if for some reason it didn't work out, that I was still able to take
Take
what
care.
I came with and take care of myself.
Right.
On your end,
Who?
there was some controversy.
Oh,
Why?
because what we're talking about, it just it quote unquote wasn't the right way. So that's why it
And
was controversy.
he stuck to it. It was basically, like it's still gonna happen.
Yeah.
We're still gonna move in with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we were living together.
Actually.
He was not making me pay anything. Like if I wanted to go half on utilities or something, he would let me do that. Rent was a no go. He would not let me go half on rent because his main thing was like, no. He was working a job that was better than mine. I was in retail. So he was basically like, save your money. And also was just like, my name is on the lease, not our name.
Right.
So that makes sense for you to pay my lease.
Right.
And you had it. Like,
Yeah.
you had it. I think I might have chipped in on Entergy or lights or something because, yes, I was one to have like every single light on in the house at any given point in time.
And she did that at her will. and make her do anything.
Right. I never felt forced to do anything. So then we flash forward again. We decide that because we're living together, by that point, we're living together in a new place and we're splitting rent.
Yeah.
But it's getting to a point where he has rent money and then you have to wait a day or two for me to get mine,
Yeah.
go in my account, cash app it to you, or take it out and put it in, give it to you to put in your account
Right.
so that we could pay bills for a place where we're both staying.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was dumb. So we had a conversation about a joint account, which, for the record, in the beginning was shot down. He said, no, 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 that's not how you're supposed to do things. So I said,
Oh man.
okay. Then we kind of backtracked because I was like, seriously, it doesn't make sense. We were like accruing fees for me transferring this money when you could have been getting the whole thing. So like, let's say rent is $300, I'm having to transfer 300 and something just for you to get the 300 because of the fee that's being taken whenever I
Yeah.
send it to you. So
You're right.
we went ahead and we got the joint account. That didn't go over well either. And we're not gonna get too deep into that
No, yeah,
because
we're
that's
not
like a
gonna get
whole
too deep.
but that's like
Oh man.
family business and we have moved on. But that was not the right way to do things either in a lot of people's eyes. And I can understand that because I mean the generation that raised us is the generation that we're taught you go to school, you
Mm-hmm.
graduate,
Yep.
find the person that you want to be with, you
Mm-hmm.
date them, you marry them, then you move in, then you have kids,
Right.
you know, plain blank
I
period.
don't hear people do that anymore.
No. And I guess for the record, like we finished it out in what you would consider the right way. I did
Yeah.
graduate college. We did get married. We moved into a house. Then we started working on a family. Not because everybody was like, that's the right way that you're supposed to do things, even though we hear that
All
all
the
the
time.
time. We did it because of us.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to do.
Like waiting to get married was mainly about me not changing my last name and like my maiden name being on my diploma. That was a
Right.
big thing for me because I
Mm-hmm.
had worked for that,
Yeah, you did.
So there was that. Having a child before, I mean, we were just careful. We had goals, we had things that needed to be in place for a child to be present. I didn't want to have to struggle with a child. I knew how expensive a baby could potentially be. So, I mean, we were taking like every precaution in the book to not have a baby before marriage.
Yes.
So, yeah, we get told that we did it the right way all the time, but I don't feel like there's a right way. I feel like there's a right way that works for you.
Yeah.
So, if you had a kid before marriage, and you're still giving that kid the world and you're taking care of that baby, then that is what
That's what
works
matters.
for you. Yes, that's all that matters. That's what works for you. Now, there is something that I don't necessarily agree with, and it's the not moving in until after you get married. I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I feel like it's weird
Yeah. Yeah.
because we have different ways of living. We have different styles of living. And I honestly feel like if we would have moved in together after marriage and I had no idea how you actually lived, that probably would have drove me insane. Because I knew you when I got married, when we got married, I knew you were OCD for like 2, 3 years by then. I knew that everything had a place.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that when it came to cleaning, like Sundays were it for you. Every Sunday, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Church, brunch, clean.
Yeah. When you when you live by yourself, first you clean up after yourself. So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a big change to start living with each other.
Oh yeah.
It was a big change.
Big change.
Because there were certain things that I would do, like for instance, I don't like the cold. He, however, is an abominable snowman. So So times when like he would come home from work, oh, he would be heated because the air would be off. So he would walk into like a 80-degree house after
Mm-mm.
coming out of 80-degree weather. So we had to find a compromise there. I am one who believes that yes, everything has a place, but if I don't feel like putting it up at that moment, I'll get to it later. And I'm gonna just take my shoes off, and they're just gonna be where they are until I move them.
This could be
He hates that. And
wild.
now it's also a hazard for our daughter, so I don't do that anymore. I try not to. But that I have never agreed with. I've never agreed with the fact that I feel like there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing things out of order if it's going to show you whether or not you really want to be with that person.
Yeah, I just think it's a benefit to do it before you're married because, like I said, you won't know how you live, how they live until you actually
Live with them.
live with them.
And what if that's a deal breaker?
Yeah, that could be a
Like,
deal
what if
breaker.
they do
I'm pretty sure it's
something?
been a deal breaker for a lot of people.
Exactly. And boom, divorce. Like, what if it's just something that you really can't deal with? What if your dude is into something weird?
Yeah.
On some 50 Shades of Grey type stuff. And you would never know until you already committed yourself
Mm,
in front of God and all these people. Now you want out.
mm. Just wasting time and money.
And to be clear, I want to ask you, how do you feel like, things would have worked out if we had done it out of order? Like if somehow, we had slipped up and we had a kid before marriage, or we had a kid while I was still in college.
Obviously, it would have been challenging,
Yeah.
um, mentally and financially.
Yeah.
But we're gonna figure out. I trusted you, and you trusted me. We're gonna find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
So,
Do
and
whatever we had to do.
yeah, we got a solid support system. Yeah, we made that work.
And I think our support system would have been there regardless. Not that we ever hear anything about like, anybody doing it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I hate labeling it that way because I don't necessarily feel like there is any right or wrong way. I feel like the stigma needs to be broken.
Yeah,
Because just because it's not the right way for someone else doesn't mean that it's not the right way.
and I think it's headed that way. It's slowly breaking.
Yeah. To the point where it's just like we don't care what you do.
Yeah, I mean, you see it done different ways, and you hear about it all the time.
Yeah. And I've personally known like families that make it work. They might not be together because the stresses of, quote unquote, not doing it in the right order.
Right.
But I also want to lay out that just because you do it in the right order doesn't mean that your relationship's going to last either.
True.
You could do it the exact right way that someone has laid out for you and it still not work.
Right.
And I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much stigma around what to do and what not to do, and I'm just really proud of like our generation and the generation after us for basically getting to the point where we're just like we don't care. We're going to do what works for us, and that's all that matters.
Right. Like I'm sure you have classmates. I have classmates that had kids, two kids before we even had one
Yeah.
years ago. But that don't make them not a good parent. You
Right.
know what
Or
I'm saying?
not a good person.
Or not a good person. And the people that classmates that have done that, they're outstanding parents.
Outstanding
Outstanding
parents, they
parents.
out here getting it
Yep.
because listen, when you have a child, it makes you want to push for something better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
And some people have kids because they feel like they're ready.
yeah,
It might
I think
not.
that's
It
a
might not be
big
right in
thing.
your eyes, but in their eyes, it might be right to them.
Hmm.
So
I agree with that. I agree with that because I know for me, I wasn't ready up until a certain point.
yeah, same.
And then after that, but well, no, I don't know about that because you was ready about at
Well,
25.
yeah, mid-20s. I feel like that's fair.
I was ready. When did I have our first kid? 27?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when I was ready, like late in my 20s.
Yep.
I was ready to actually like be someone's mom. And even to this day, it still blows my mind that I'm somebody's mom. But for the record, to end that one off, man, there is no right or wrong way. You do what makes you happy. Do
It's your
what
life.
you want to do. Exactly. Your life. Nobody runs it but you. Nobody has to deal with the consequences or the achievements or, anything else but you. So you might as well live life the way that you want to do it.
Exactly.
Well, y'all, that concludes our podcast for tonight. We thank y'all so much for listening. I hope, that we touch somebody to tell their story or want to keep listening. As always, we love to hear about, what all you're going through. If this podcast helps you, anything. So, y'all drop comments below, like, subscribe, do all the things.
We'll catch y'all on the next one.
All right. Peace and love.
All right. Peace.